Welcome back to Faith Unplugged Jen. I want to talk to you about something that nobody really prepares you for. What happens when your circle starts to get smaller? When friendships fade? When churches shift? When people you thought would be with you forever aren't? And you're sitting there just wondering, did I do something wrong? Did I miss God? Why does obedience feel like loss? Because if I'm being honest, the last year for me has felt like reduction. Relationships changed, a lot of them. Church doors closed, my business slowed down. Even the support I thought I'd have shifted. And there were moments where I took it personally. I did. Like maybe I was the problem. I got offended. But then I started thinking about Gideon again. In Judges 7, Gideon starts with 32,000 men. 32,000. That sounds like security. That sounds like backup or support. That sounds like momentum. And then God says, it's too many. Too many? Like, whoever looks at 32,000 and says, nope, let's cut that down. But God did. He reduced them to 300. 300. And the crazy part, God said, why? Because if they won with 32,000, they would say, my own strength saved me. Sometimes God reduces your circle because he knows you're about to win something. And he doesn't want you confusing who did it. But here's the part that we don't talk about. Reduction feels like rejection at first. It does. When people drift away, it feels personal, very personal. And when doors close, it feels like failure. When numbers drop, it feels like you're shrinking. But what if you're not shrinking? What if God is refining? What if he's refining you? Jesus said something in John 15 that hits different when you're living it. He said, every branch that bears fruit, he prunes, that it may bear more fruit. Pruning isn't punishment. It's preparation. But when you're in it, it feels like loss. And here's what I've had to check in my own heart. Was I depending on people more than I was depending on God? Was I leaning on the size of my circle to validate my calling? Because it's easy to feel secure when everyone's cheering you on. But it's harder when it's quiet. It's harder when you look around and realize your army is smaller. And I don't think reduction always means that those people were bad. Sometimes it just means they weren't meant for the next season in your life. Gideon didn't fire those men. God sifted them. So that's different. There's a difference between forcing people out and God filtering them out. And filtering is uncomfortable. I know it has been for me because it leaves you with less at first. And I think Gen Z especially feels this. You lose a friend group, you leave a church, you outgrow a season, you change direction, and suddenly your phone is quieter. Not as many texts or DMs. Your support feels thinner. And the temptation is to run back just to feel full again. But What if fullness isn't the goal? What if obedience is? Here's the part that gives me peace. God didn't reduce Gideon's army to make him fail. He reduced it to show his power, which means smaller doesn't mean weaker. It might mean that it's clearer. It might mean that it's more pure. It might mean less distraction. And I'm still walking this out. And I don't have a big victorious ending yet. My circle is still smaller. Business is still slower. It's starting to pick up, and support still looks different. But I'm starting to see something. The people that are still here, they are solid. They are solid people in my life. The ones who stayed, they are aligned with what God is doing in my life. And maybe that's what God is doing. He's not isolating you, but he's aligning you. So if your circle has gotten smaller lately, I don't want you to panic. Ask, is this rejection or is this reduction? Ask the Lord those questions. Is this loss or are you pruning me, Lord? Because sometimes God has to shrink the army before he wins the battle. And if he called you, he will sustain you, even if it's with 300 instead of 32,000.